Welcome to the Roundtable. I'm your host, Steve Davis. Today's program is a look into the future leadership of Jefferson County government and the Office of County Executive. 3 individuals have filed for their party's position for county executive. 2 of those individuals have agreed to share their background, family history, and thoughts on leading Jefferson County. Libertarian candidate Dan McCarthy has respectfully declined to appear on this program. When inviting the 3 candidates, all were asked to conform to a rather unique program, or political program, in a rather unique format. Each was asked to talk about themselves and not their opponents. Further, national party politics and national social issues, each candidate was asked to refrain from addressing those issues unless they could relate them to concerns here in our local community. Now, for an opportunity to learn more about the candidates, about our first future county executive of Jefferson County, here is our first candidate, Republican candidate Ken Waller. Ken, welcome to the program and thank you for coming here.
Steve, I appreciate the opportunity and I'd like to thank JCTV for having me.
This is, I think, a unique opportunity for maybe the 2 or 3 individuals in this county who don't know who Ken Waller is to give you an opportunity. Ken, just tell us a little about yourself, history, family, background. Who is Ken Waller?
Well, I'm a lifelong resident of Jefferson County, and I've lived here. I'm 48 years old, so I've been here 48 years. I currently reside in Herculaneum. I've been married for almost 21 years to my wife, Trina. We have 3 beautiful children.
Okay, we'll edit that one out. Yes.
Yeah, 3 beautiful children, Kayla, 19, Tyler, who's 17, and Trevor, who's 11. And like I said, I've lived here all my life and just love the county.
Okay. Well, you've filed for county executive, and we always look back at our leaders, and this is our county executive is our leader of our county. So how about a little bit about your background, maybe a work experience, educational experience?
Sure.
What makes you prepared to lead this county in this really a new form of government?
I'm glad you asked me, Steve. First of all, I have a associate's degree from here at Jefferson College. I graduated in 1982 with a business degree. I then furthered my education. I worked for a year to put myself through school, and I went back to school in 1983 and went to school at UMSL, University of Missouri, St. Louis. Decided I wanted to expand my horizons a little bit and got a public administration degree, and I focused on budgeting and economics. For the majority of my working career, I sold insurance, was in the insurance business, and then in 2004, I was elected as a Jefferson County treasurer. I ran a good race and won that year, and then I kept my insurance agency for a couple of years and had someone run it, and then kind of branched off and decided I wanted to try to remain in politics. But in 2008, I was unsuccessful in my bid to get reelected to treasurer, and so that's kind of where I'm at right now.
So you're one positive, one successful race, one not successful race, and it still hasn't tarnished you for wanting to be a public official.
Well, I think in some ways, Steve, I know those sounds kind of crazy to some, and maybe others will understand. I think it's kind of my calling. I love the public, taking care of the public and being a public servant. I know you're an attorney. Most people probably know that, or they know Steve Davis is an attorney, and you're a radio guy. It's just what you love to do, and I just love being out and about, and not necessarily, always the kissing babies and shaking hands, but just the personal part of that. And so when the race for county executive, when I knew there was going to be a new position, I had really thought about it and prayed about it a lot. Had I won my office in 2008, my intentions all the way along was to run for this position. So I did have to take a look at it to see what was best for my family and decide if this was something that I could do. Could I do the work of county executive? Could I lead people? And I felt that all my qualifications in terms of running my own business and my education and just my ability to work with other people, I felt that that would be a good fit for me, and that's why I decided to put my name into the race.
Well, good. And you mentioned family, because that's important, as I guess most people know, especially those that didn't vote for me when I ran for countywide office. And I thought about the second time around. But boy, I got the negative from my wife so quick on, let's stay out of politics. It's not something we wanted to bring the family back into. So your family's behind this. You get that?
Well, and my wife and I had a conversation before I decided to go and file. And one of the reasons was I just didn't feel that the county was going in the direction that I liked for it to be going. And I knew that running in an election was going to take time away from my family, the fundraising, the events that you have to go to, and that's all part of it, as you well know, in your attempt to run for countywide office. So I had to make sure that my wife and my family was on board. And when they said they was on board, I felt like that was a confirmation that let's just do this, let's roll up our sleeves, and let's go and let's do this.
So as you run for office here, maybe you can explain what's life like for you. What is a candidate's life?
It's not a lot of sleep, but a lot of exhilarating times when you actually get to meet people and they tell you that they voted for you before, or they heard you speak at an event, or those types of things. And it kind of, it's not that it really strokes you, it just makes you feel good inside, and that you're making a difference. I had a lot of people, when I decided to do this, call me up, email me, Facebook me, and say, hey, we're glad you're doing this. We know you'll be a good leader if you get elected. We know you'll run the county. You'll be fair. So you don't have a lot of time to yourself. I have a full-time job. I work in St. Louis and work for an organization that actually has their camp in Dittmer, Missouri. The place that I work for is called Sunny Hill Incorporated, and it is a camp. They have a camp, and they also have a nonprofit organization that helps the disabled. And so I work in their HR department. So I have a full-time job, and then my nights and weekends are knocking on doors, going to parades, fairs that you go to, and then making speeches and doing programs like this.
Now, you stated earlier that you questioned or had concerns, say, about the direction the county was headed or some of the problems. So what do you perceive some of the current problems or concerns, if they're not so-called problems, of the county right now?
Well, I think, Steve, that Jefferson County is definitely a bedroom community. And because of our proximity to St. Louis, we have a lot of potential of growth in a lot of areas, from retail growth to industrial and commercial growth. And of course, with us being right along the Mississippi River, the possibility, as most people know in the county, that there's a possibility of putting a port or two along the Mississippi. I just felt that by me running for this office and becoming an elected county executive, that I would have a lot of good ideas that I could share, and more than that, work with the individuals that are going to be on that board. You know, we're getting away from the three-person board that we've had forever. And I think a lot of people felt that with that three-man or three-person board, in some cases there was a woman that was on that board, that they weren't getting the representation that they needed. And now, with 7 representatives that are going to be elected, I guess 6, because I think one's already, they don't have an opponent, but you've got 6 contested races. I think working with those individuals and bringing things to the table, they're all going to bring different things to the table. No matter who wins in those races, Democrat or Republican, they're going to bring a lot of good ideas. I just had lunch and got to meet Cliff Lane, who is the DeSoto area representative. Cliff is a successful businessman, a very smart individual, been around a long time. As county executive, I would love to work with a guy like that. I would think he would have a lot of ideas of how we can maybe spur some business growth and do some different things. So it's not just going to be about me, it's going to be about the other individuals that are going to bring things to the table themselves.
Okay. And well, today we're talking about you, and we're going to hold you, I guess maybe your feet to the fire. You mentioned you had some ideas.
Yes.
Now, specifically, what are the ideas that you would like to accomplish here in the county? And more importantly, how do you perceive going about to accomplish those ideas?
Well, I think one of the things we need to do, Steve, is obviously to spur economic growth. You know, we do have a department within the county that does a lot of grants, and they do other things as part of that job. I would love, if it's economically feasible, which I believe it will be, to hire someone, a full-time position, someone that just does grant writing. That, I mean, you know, there's so many ways to get money, and of course we've had the stimulus money that has been dispersed, and I don't know if they'll have that again. But I would love to be able to get someone on board that specializes in that. Now, I know there's a cost to that, but I would hope that the cost of hiring someone to do that would be a strategic hire and someone that could literally get us hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in grant money. Of course, working with this port and the port study and the things that have been done through economic development or economic development of Jefferson County, I believe that we have to find a way to get that port going, because once that port gets through all the stages and all the red tape and everything that they're going to have to go to do, that will automatically spur industrial growth around the port. And you know, the proposals that I've seen through the port study, I met with Dan Govro, who's I believe the chairman of that, showed me that, you know, once these ports, there's one going to be in Herculaneum and one going to be in Crystal City, or that's the plan so far. If we can get those at least started and can get plans and we can get through all the red tape and we can get that to where it's going to happen, then I believe that industrial growth and commercial growth will come right along with it, which of course brings jobs. So it's like we're going to have to get behind this port and the port study and be able to really work. If there's things we can do as a council and the county executive to not necessarily get around things, but to speed things along, I think that is very important. Of course, look at other areas of the county, look at the zoning areas of the different pieces of property to find out if we can change zoning, because obviously we'll have the ability to do things that we weren't able to do before as a council. So if there's areas that we could maybe change to commercial and or industrial, and we can get businesses to understand that this is a great county and our proximity to St. Louis is an asset for them, then I believe both of those things will be things that we need to move the county forward.
And of course, the big plus that I really admire is having a master's in public administration myself. Obviously, I'm a big fan of education and the public administration field. What, in your areas of the public administration, specifically, what area did you study, and how do you, are you going to be able to use that experience, that education you learned here locally, implement it?
Well, you know, when I took my classes at UMSL, my desire initially was to become in city politics, city government, city administrator, city manager type things. It didn't work out from the time I got the degree, because when I got my degree I was too young, and now when I apply I'm too old, you know.
Been there, done that
the
one.
15 years in between, I don't know what happened, but my areas of focus was budgeting, and I had a little bit of a focus on economics because I was really intrigued by how things, you know, worked in the economy and the cyclical patterns of the economy, and we see those even now, you know. With recessions and unemployment and inflation and all these things. They're very intriguing. It's kind of like, for the political junkie, it's, you know, who's running in this race, and, you know, who's going to win down here in this race. You know, as political people as we are, we like that. I believe that, you know, the budgeting area will be a strong suit for me to really analyze and look at things line by line and be able to determine, you know, are we getting our money spent wisely? Is there ways we can buy better? You know, can we do more work within the county? You know, we did a study and spent $20,000 for our salaries and a survey and that. You know, could that have either not been done and that money not spent and used somewhere else, or could we have done that more locally? You know, using local people.
Well, that's funny you mentioned that one, and going to that sort of will transfer into the merit system. But I could have told you that. They're not happy, they're all underpaid, they want less work, and they want more money. Can I have at least $15,000 for that answer?
Well, you know, and that's basically that's what we were told. And, you know, it's not like we didn't know that already. But the existing people that are on the board now decided that was something that they felt that we needed to do, and as part of the charter implementation and the merit system. I guess they felt that this was something that they needed to determine where we needed to go with that.
So maybe you can explain a little bit now. We never really had a merit system. I guess for lack of a better phrase, we had the good old boy who do I know system to get the job and the promotion. What exactly, if you want to explain the merit system, and is it good, is it bad, is it going to, I'm looking at this from a county executive permission. As county executive, you'd like to say, I want this person removed, I want this person hired, I want this person promoted.
Well, Steve, there
Can you
are positions within the county that you'll have kind of reign over, and you'll be able to put your department heads into those positions. Those are, I believe they call them, and I apologize if I don't have the exact terms right, but I believe they call them non-exempt employees, okay? They basically can be, you know, you could bring your own people in if you wanted to let those people go and bring your own people in. And a lot of times in government, especially as a county executive, I would imagine Charlie Dooley in St. Louis County would be someone that would say, I want to bring some of my people in that I not only know and trust, but I know is either educated in that area or have a lot of experience in that area. So I think those positions will be vital. Of course, you'll have different boards like planning and zoning and different other boards, whereas people will be ready to come off the board at, you know, they're appointed for a period of time. Those appointments will be important, of course, to continue to move growth forward. But in terms of the merit system, you're exactly right. It has been the good old boy system forever. If you knew Aunt Susie or Uncle Fred that worked in the highway department or worked in the Parks Department or any of the other departments, and you said a good word to the boss or the person that was over that, you usually could get a job. And so not necessarily did the most qualified people get hired. In this setting, you're talking about the people that have either an education or have the work experience for the job will have a lot better chance to get employed. And the other thing is when people, let's say, lose an election, maybe there's an office holder or someone that's, you know, that loses an election and someone new comes in, a person that maybe has been in an office for 15, 20 years, 10 years, they don't get automatically let go because someone else new comes in. And if they've done a good job and worked under different administrations or different people, they shouldn't lose their jobs if they've done the job properly.
Speaking of jobs and employment, and I've looked at the county charter briefly and went through it, and there's one position that I know the new county executive is going to create, but I didn't see a position of funding. And if you look in St. Louis City, St. Louis County, or anyone, there's no assistant to the county executive. Who's the right-hand man that protects the boss from everyone who's out to get him?
Well, I mean, that would be important. It's kind of like you can look at it in a bunch of different ways. You could look at it like in other government entities, you'd be talking chiefs of staff.
Exactly.
Someone that kind of covers you, that takes care of the PR and other things. And, you know, again, that's going to be about dollars and cents. Can you bring someone in and find a way to pay them without other people either having to be let go or, you know, it's going to be a tight budget for quite a while, I would imagine. So that is going to be a very important position. But, you know, the other position that is probably, even though I've heard that people say that the county executive is the most powerful position or will be the most powerful person in Jefferson County, I have to think that a little bit that the director of administration would have really, him or her, in this case it's a man, it's in there now, would have really more power than anyone, you know, even the county executive. So that person that's in there is vital, I believe, to the success of not only the county executive, but just to the county as a whole.
And currently we're talking, that's Steve Stoll.
That is Steve Stoll, that's correct.
Yeah, and there's where our degrees in the administration come in. That's the job to.
That is correct.
You know, the paid educational professional, whereas you're the paid political professional.
That is correct.
Hopefully, we'll have a educational experience.
Yeah, I mean, and I agree. You know, the chief of staff, or whatever you want to call this person, I think would be a vitally important person to either myself or Randy Holman, whoever would be successful in their bid in November, would be a very, very important person to have, and somebody that they could trust and know that they're looking out for their best interest all the time.
And in our county government, we've got so many different departments, and they all have their department heads. But to the general public, to just Joe citizen on the street, you're the county. When I got a problem here, you're the county, whether it's with the court system, the sheriff's department, the clerk's office, elections, recorder of deeds, you're the county. Have you thought about ways to, I guess, react with them, work with them, the other department heads, or are you looking, do we have all these little fiefdoms that, I'm sorry, this is my department, I'm an elected official, you stay out of, have that thought crossed your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I guess until you get in, do you make that decision? I mean, you have your preconceived ideas of what you like to do. That's a tough answer. I'm not trying to evade it or kind of go around it, but you know, it's all gonna start and end with you, the person that's at the top. It's gonna run downhill. So, you know, I think that you have to take a look at protecting yourself to some degree, but you also have to look at what's best for the county. And, you know, I think what happens, Steve, as you well know, is people that get into politics get in with the right intentions. And then over a period of time, they want to protect themselves and cover themselves. So it becomes not about the people, it becomes about them. And I can give you lots of examples, and one that comes to mind is Dick Gebhardt, you know. And he was a long-term legislator for years. But special interest and those types of things take over, and you become more worried about yourself than actually what's good for the people. And I think that in this position, you have to go in and you have to give it your all every day, do what you think is right, live by your decisions and your convictions or whatever decisions you make and the influences that you're giving to other people. And, you know, and if 4 years from now you lose your job because you made a couple of decisions that maybe wasn't totally popular and you really ticked off some wrong people, that's just, you have to do those things. And I think that's what happens a lot of times, Steve, is people just get so caring about themselves and protecting themselves, they don't do, I don't think, what's best for the citizens.
In that similar note, as this county grows in population size, we hear quite a bit lately in the print media our municipal courts. And really what I like to look at it as growing pains with this new court system. Have you given any thought to, we're going to have, because our municipal judge here in the county, Tim Miller, is going to become the next associate circuit judge in Jefferson County, and his position is going to be vacated, which gives the opportunity to, at this point in time, really, if necessary, remodel, expand, or restructure the municipal court system, personnel, income, salaries, sheriff's department's contribution, and of course the judgeship. Where do you see the court system in this county?
Well, I mean, first of all, I hope that they will not do anything until the new county executive is elected and the county council is seated. With Tim Miller not having an opponent in the general election, he's already won his primary, didn't have any Republican opposition. Obviously, that's not vacated until he vacates that judgeship. I think there probably needs to be a little bit of an overhaul there, and again, I have my own ideas, but I want to hear what the other council members would say. If I'm elected, I want to hear what they think about that too, because they're talking about their constituents. What do their constituents want them to do, and how does that work for the betterment of the county? You know, there was a big article in the Leader newspaper, I believe a couple of weeks ago, talking about that specific issue, about how much money, millions and millions of dollars, has been taken in, and how that Sheriff Boyer has not really saw or felt much of the windfall of that, and he's still down so many patrolmen and so on and so forth. So I think we definitely need to take a look at how that money is dispersed, and work on that. That's definitely, if we can expand that to take more money in and to hear more cases, and we can take more of the revenue in, that would be important.
Now, you brought up Sheriff Boyer, and so I'm gonna put you on the spot here on the campaign promise here. Originally, decades ago, the county allotted money to the sheriff's department. Then we passed a gas tax, a gasoline tax, and we earmarked that sales tax to the sheriff's department. And in the same stroke of the pen, the county predominantly took back the money that was given to the sheriffs, even though this was billed, I think, to the general public as sheriff's department. So the sheriff really hasn't gained, they just shifted revenue sources. Tight budget, no extra money. You're gonna cringe when you actually see the numbers. What do we do about sheriff department funding?
Well, see, that's a hard question to answer because it's been like that for a number of years. There's not been an excess of funds. There's not been a budget where sales tax has been really good in a year where we've had another $1 million or $2 million that we could allocate towards the sheriff. I know that's always been an issue between the sheriff and the people that are on the county commission, Democrat or Republican. It doesn't matter who's on there. That's been a fight for many, many years. The sheriff's done a good job of taking what he gets and appropriating it accordingly and trying to man the streets and the roads and that of Jefferson County to the best of his ability. I know years ago, and I don't know how many, Steve, they tried to pass a sales tax that would have given them quite a bit of additional funding, millions of dollars, and that didn't pass. Is that something that we need to take a look at? I don't know. That might be, but it's going to have to, again, be a collaboration of the council. What does the council think? We're bringing this new form of government in, and we need to make sure that these 7 men or women that are elected, their voices are heard. And they may have some ideas of how we can do that, Democrat or Republican. I think that they all understand that it's a problem, and it's a problem that needs to be addressed. But right now, in the way the budget is set up, we don't have any extra money to do anything for the sheriff.
Okay. Well, this has been Ken Waller. He's the Republican candidate for county executive. Ken, I just want to thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day and to come down here to basically let the people learn more about Ken Waller, and I wish you the best of luck in the upcoming election. And the only thing I'm going to say to the listening audience out there is vote. Whether it's Libertarian, Republican, Democrat, or write-in candidate, just show up at the polls and vote. We're going to take a brief break right now, and when we return, we'll have Democratic candidate for county executive, Randy Holman. Again, thank you, Ken Waller.
Appreciate the time.
Very affordable. They have a convenient tutoring schedule that works around my schedule.
Jefferson College is very challenging.
They have a diverse campus.
This is the very beginning of the second part of my life, and I have a new sense of direction and a new passion in my life.
They are committed with my success.
The quality of education here, I would give it a 10.
I'm Kimberly Clark.
I'm Shayna Payton.
I'm Jose Solorian.
I'm Rachel Schrage.
I'm Della Selman.
I'm Nick Schaefer.
I'm Stacy Self, and I discovered my future at Jefferson College.
Well, we're back here with our county executive program, and I would like to just restate that all 3 candidates for county executive, Ken Waller, Randy Holman, and Dan McCarthy, the Libertarian candidate, have been invited to this program. And unfortunately, Libertarian candidate Dan McCarthy has declined his invitation. But back for the second half of this program, we have Democratic candidate for Jefferson County County Executive, Randy Holman. Randy, thank you and welcome to the program.
Well, thanks for having me, Steve. I'm looking forward to visiting with you.
That's it. And as I mentioned on our first half of the program, this is an opportunity to present you as a more than just a candidate, as an individual, as a person, to maybe those individuals here in Jefferson County that maybe don't know who Randy Holman is or what Randy Holman stands for. So we thought we'd just start with, give us a little bit about the history of the Holman family, past and present, and maybe future.
Sure, I'm glad to do that. I'm originally from the Peevely area, actually in the little town of Horine, for the viewers out there that are familiar with Jefferson County. Went to school with the Herculaneum school system, graduated from Herculaneum High School. I am married. My wife, Tammy, she's from Festus. She graduated in 1978, the same year that I did from Herculaneum. We both attended Jefferson College, and then I also attended Southeast Missouri State University and got my degree in business. We have two daughters, Katie and Kelly. They're both grown and they're both school teachers, both married. My youngest daughter, Kelly, her husband is a paramedic, and my oldest daughter, Katie, her husband plays ball for the Cardinals. He's in their AAA farm system. And then we have a nephew that's lived with us since 2000, Josh, and he is a junior at Southeast Missouri State University with a focus on business as well.
All right. Well, a little more background. You went to school, but you got your degree, and I guess we could just probably cancel this election right now and just say Southeast versus UMSL. That's it, because both you and Mr. Waller, both Jeffco local boys, Jeffco graduates,
Yes.
both business degrees, and you chose different universities, so it's really the North versus the South. And let's just. But so, what'd you do once you got out of school?
Well, I spent a few years in the private sector in the management. I got out of college in '82, and if you recall, the economy was pretty bad then. And in fact, I'll never forget my senior year at Southeast Missouri. Not one company interviewed on campus. It was a really tough time. So I spent a few years in the private sector, took a position with the county in 1986 as a market analyst. Spent a year doing that, and then was promoted to the position of Director of Assessments, and I served in that for 7 years until the late Governor Carnahan, appointed me as assessor.
Okay. And you've been serving in your role as the county assessor since this time.
Right. Since 1994, I've been very fortunate to have been elected 5 times to the position of assessor.
Now, most people would say that's a career. 5 terms as county assessors, that's enough for anybody. But let's talk, you're an unusual individual in that you also were elected and ran for school boards and offices outside. So let's talk a little bit, what else you did politically outside of the assessor's office?
Well, actually, before I was fortunate enough to be appointed assessor, I ran for school board in Festus. That was in 1993, and fortunate enough to win. And I served on the Festus School Board for 15 years, so simultaneously with the position of assessor. The last 12 years that I was on the Festus School Board, I was served as the board president.
Okay. So we've got the school board, and you reach the level, and the assessor. I'm thinking, okay, 2 positions where even if you have absolutely no control over the outcome of the situation, you get blamed for all the faults. The president of the school board, and you're the tax man. Why in the world would you want to go into what I perceive as I don't care what you do, it's your fault, you're the county executive? Why that position?
Well, first of all, I think you go back to what you said about the position of the assessor and on the school board. They are challenging positions, but I've learned over the years that people generally just want good, straight answers. And my terms in both of those have been very rewarding, and very, very few instances where I really was chewed out or got upset or blamed. Once people understand what you're doing and they realize that you're doing it in accordance with the law and that you're doing it fairly, generally they're okay with it. Now, in regard to the position of county executive, it's a new position. And when I looked at that, I looked at the charter and the requirements of the county executive, the skills that are going to be necessary to be an effective county executive, and I felt that they fit my skills, my background very well, and that I have a lot to offer. It will be a huge challenge, but it's something that I really think I'm going to enjoy. And that's not to say I don't enjoy being the assessor, because I like that type of work. It's been very rewarding. It's very challenging. Every morning I look forward to going to work. But at the same time, I think this new position fits me well. I think I will perform it well, and I hope the voters give me the opportunity to attempt it.
Okay, and you stated that the skills necessary for the position and that you believe you have these skills. If you could be more specific, what skills do you believe the current county executive needs to have, and why do you believe that you have that ability?
Well, I think you have a wide variety of skills that you need. It's not one particular skill. Certainly you're going to have to be a good administrator, and I think my record proves that I've been a good administrator, both on the school board level, where we had the lowest tax rate in the county, we had the lowest cost per student of any school district in the entire state of Missouri, and at the same time we were continually performing with distinction. If you look at my record as assessor, you'll find that the last 5 years, for example, our balance budgetarily has been in excess of $450,000. Our budget, we've been able to give back to the county the last 3 years over $300,000. So I think, one, you do need to have good administrative skills. You have to have good management skills. You have to be able to get people to perform at the level necessary to be effective. And again, I think if you look at my record, I've been able to do that. If you look at the amount of tenure of my average employee, it's in excess of 11 years. And so I have good management skills, and I get the most out of our people. You have to be organized. This new council is going to require a tremendous amount of effort. It's going to require a tremendous amount of information for them to be effective, and I think I bring that to the table. So I think it's a whole gamut of skills that you need to be effective.
And if I could jump around a little, you mentioned that the average employee, 11 years in your office, your workers sit there. You, I guess, were responsible for the hiring of all these individuals, or most of the individuals in there.
All of them.
All of them. And there's been a lot of, we'll say maybe the print media has written some articles about, we referred to it previously as maybe the good old boy hiring system versus we have a new merit system that's going to be implemented under the new county charter. So how do you feel, would the merit, if we had a merit system, would your office have been any different? Or how do you believe the merit system is going to affect the other county offices that will be under the new charter?
Well, let me address my own office first and say that it won't change anything in my office. I pretty much have had that system all along. I've never, ever hired it for anything less than qualifications. For every position in the assessor's office, we've had job descriptions long before any of the county departments had job descriptions. I always develop criteria when I have an opening, and I always go through an interview process. And that process includes me as the assessor and the overall leader, but I also bring in the departmental supervisors as well. And that's kind of what a merit system does. And that's, I guess a positive thing about the charter is it will give all our residents ample and fair opportunities for county positions. As far as the operation of some of the other offices, and I think that was the second part of your question,
Yes.
I'm not sure how they've done their hiring. We're going to have to dig into that, I guess, when we get there and make sure all the various departments are operating at optimum levels, and if any adjustments need to be made, we'll make them.
You're fortunate, let's say, to be, I don't want to say elected, but I want to say selected by
I think
our
that's
citizens.
a good term. I like that.
Selected by our turn to be what our public leader, of the county here. What problems, or maybe not even just problems, concerns of the current county do you see in the next few years or future, and what would be your solutions to those problems?
Okay, and that's going to be a relatively lengthy answer.
Okay, well, we've got another 20 minutes, so we'll just kick back here and...
Because, we have many challenges here in Jefferson County, and every county in the state of Missouri has similar challenges. Obviously, we have declining revenues. We're a county that predominantly relies on sales tax revenue, and that has been declining, so that's been a challenge. We're faced with the same issues most of the country is in regard to unemployment. We have road and transportation issues. We have a need here in Jefferson County for greater and better public utilities such as sewer and water. We are a growing county. We're continuing to grow even in this economy, and so we have a demand for more services. We have aging facilities in Jefferson County that's going to have to be addressed over time. We have fiscal responsibility issues like every other county in the state of Missouri. And of course, we're in competition, and I think that's something that's often overlooked. We're in competition with every other county in Missouri for economic development and basically every county in the country. So a lot of issues, and they're going to have to be addressed on a case-by-case basis. The best way to do that is through strategic planning, and I do think that's what sets Randy Holman apart from the other candidates in this election. I have, from day one, talked about the need for strategic planning. We're the 6th largest county in the state of Missouri. We administrate just under $100 million in revenues per year, and we don't have a strategic plan. We need a strategic plan which basically identifies the goals of county government and the strategies to meet those goals, whether it be economic development, for example. Economic development, Steve, doesn't just happen. We can say, and all candidates do say, I'm for jobs, but how are you going to bring in jobs? That's going to require planning, first of all. It's going to require a collaborative effort of local and state officials. When I say local, not just the county elected officials, but the municipalities as well. It's going to require us thinking outside of the box.
Well, let me interrupt you here, because you mentioned that it's going to require planning and I agree entirely. I think, in fact, most people don't realize that's why it's called planning and zoning. It's the plan part. And do you have that plan, or is this something that you're going to start when you take over?
Well, I think that's a fair question, and I like it. First of all, Randy Holman can have a plan, but that's a one-person plan. For us to be successful, we need a multifaceted plan from the business community, from the elected officials, for example, from community members. That overall plan needs to be developed in conjunction with all of those resources. Now, Randy Holman has ideas, of course. I think we need to look at what's working in other communities. I was at the Missouri Association of Counties meeting a few months ago, where Boone County's touting that they brought in 1,500 quality jobs in the last year to Boone County. Now, and for your viewers, Boone County is the Columbia area. Well, what are they doing that Jefferson County's not doing? Randy Holman thinks...
Speed traps when I go visit my daughter at school, I'll tell you that much.
That's a revenue generator, but not a job generator. We have many strengths in our county that we have to market. And of course, we're all familiar with the Mississippi River and certainly the port study, and the potential port in the future is something we need to look at. But we have great rail access. We have good interstate thoroughfares. We have a very solid workforce. We have some major metropolitan markets within 4 hours of us. If you look at Memphis and Kansas City and Chicago, we have great school systems. We have good value on homes. So we have virtually everything that business needs to be successful. What we have to do is find a way to market Jefferson County and put us above the competition. And we do have competition. There's many things that we need to do. We need to identify our target markets. Maybe the plan for manufacturing is going to be different than the plan for bringing in service-related businesses. We are a community that is predominantly residential, so we have to identify those types of businesses that retail and service related that will bring revenue to Jefferson County and jobs.
And I'm primarily familiar with the eastern part of the county, the 55 quarter, and we've got sufficient, I think, infrastructure to grow and develop.
Yes.
But what about the rest of the county? Do we have the infrastructure to bring in the businesses? And if not, do we have the money to build it, because the businesses, it's the chicken and the egg approach.
It is a chicken and egg approach, and it's going to be some challenges. And certainly I just talked about the strengths that we have here in Jefferson County, and we've got a lot of them. But we also have challenges, and we're going to have to identify those challenges. And that's the importance of a strategic plan. A strategic plan isn't just a document that sets out every goal that you want to do. It actually sets out the strategies, but it also becomes the marching orders, for lack of a better word, for the council, because it's adopted by the council, and every department and every office in the county, to where we're at least all working in a unified, collaborative manner. For example, if we stick on the subject of economic development, and of course strategic plan refers to all aspects of county government, but the assessor, for example, does do economic development. It's normally not on the front page of the newspaper, but when companies are interested in locating to a county, they're generally one of the first people they contact is the assessor. They want information. They want tax information. They want property maps. They want copies of real estate deeds. What we need is a unified effort, so that not only the assessor's doing his role, but county government's doing its role, the other departments, the planning and zoning folks are doing their role. And it's a cooperative effort, and it's one that we're working in unison with common goals.
You mentioned planning and zoning, and I guess some people may consider this a backhanded compliment. First of all, let me say, I think the personnel in the planning and zoning department and over in the building department are outstanding. They're some of the wonderful, and believe it or not, contrary to popular belief, some of the most helpful individuals I've come across. But their problem is they've got to enforce the codes that are given to them. Have you given any thought to whether, I think it's extremely difficult to get a project built and completed in this county, and the personnel get the blame for something that obviously is not their fault, and I'll say it now, they're wonderful, and I've had great success, but even myself felt sometimes like, oh my God, I'm just going to give up.
I think another good point, economic development, if that's one of our goals, and it will be, we all know that, the one thing you don't want is county government to be a bottleneck. And so one of the good points about a strategic plan and getting everybody on a unified level is your personnel then will be bringing those concerns to you. Rather than just enacting the codes, they will actually be bringing the concerns and the bottlenecks to the council and to the county executive, saying, if you're really interested in economic development, we need to address this bottleneck, or this issue is causing us problems. And then it becomes an issue for the council to address. And again, it is more responsive government that way, and it's going to entice economic development. So if it's implemented accurately and professionally, it will benefit us. It will make us more efficient.
One of the questions I asked Ken Waller was a employment position where I look around to all the other larger areas, and I know people sometimes want to consider Jefferson County, well, we're backwoods or we're rural or whatever, and I'm sitting there saying, this is an urban, at least suburban at best, community here. But as county executive, I noticed there's not any budget or position for a chief of staff for you, which I think is a vital position that a county executive would need.
I think that's probably true in the future. Right now, I wouldn't recommend it because of the condition that our budgets are in right now. You do have a county administrator, and of course, if you have a county executive that's performing the job that he's supposed to be doing, he can absorb most of those duties. And that's what I have intention of doing. And I think if you look at my work ethic, my work history, you're going to find I'm the type of guy, and in fact I see you in the courthouse at 7:30 on a regular basis, and you know that I'm there early too. I enjoy the job. Maybe down the road, years down the road, a chief of staff or something will be a necessary addition, but certainly under today's economic conditions, I wouldn't recommend it.
And now, since we're talking about today's economic conditions, and again, we approached this subject previously, the municipal court,
Yes.
Judge Miller has moved on, and he's got elected to the state associate circuit. What do you perceive the future of the Jefferson County Municipal Court? Part-time, full-time, where's our court system headed?
I think you have to go back to a couple of my previous statements and say, one, you're going to have to think outside the box, because we are in some tough economic times. So before you make a decision such as that, first thing you're going to do is review the challenges, the number of records that this court's dealing with, speak with the supervisor of the municipal court to find out what they recommend, speak with the existing Tim Miller, for example, on what his workload is, and then make that decision. You may end up working with the prosecuting attorney's office, for example, to get their input, to find out is there a way you can alleviate some of the volume through a cooperative effort with them in regard at least to the prosecution side of it. But I think we're going to have to look at that after the election to get a good handle on the amount of information that we're dealing with, and then make that decision. It would be remiss for me to say one way or the other.
And one of the last areas I'd like to just address is, as a citizen, I say I elected my representative to serve a full term. And that term is till December 31st, I'm assuming. Come next year, it's a whole new form of government. As if you're elected the new county executive, do you want our current 3 commissioners to be making decisions that you're going to have to live with and bear with not having any input with them? Or do you want them to say, run the county, freeze the county, we'll take over?
Well, actually, there's going to be 2 of them. One of them will be gone. And that being said, the other 2 are there, and they are being paid by the taxpayers. I think it's important that as the new county executive, you at least get their input. Maybe the ultimate decision should be mine, or the new county executive, I should say.
Well, I'm not talking about decisions made January 2nd. I'm saying decisions being made in November. They're coming up and say, let's pass this ordinance or law that's going to take over and affect the next group of people.
Gotcha.
How much should they do it, or should we just freeze the new and just run what we've got?
Well, I think after the November election, they should certainly, whoever wins that election, they should let them be part of the discussion. And if there's things that they can do to expedite some of the responsibilities of the new county executive, they should do that, certainly. Up to that point, I think, they'd be better off if they put things on hold a little bit. And because, not only are you affecting the new county executive, but you're also affecting the new county council.
As opposed to the county commissioner's answer is, well, they elected me for 2 years. They didn't elect me for 1 year, 10 months. And if I've got to make a decision in the last 2 months, that's my job.
I think the key word there is if I have to. Because there may be some issues that come up that are crucial and have a time factor involved with them. And I think they should do those. But the rest of them, they should leave for the new folks.
We've got a couple minutes left, so I want to finish with this one thought, because it's a department you have almost no control over, but it affects the citizens so much, and that's law enforcement with the sheriffs. How do you see the new county government interacting with law enforcement, and what aid or assistance do you see the new county government giving?
Well, I think, from a new county government standpoint, you have to approach it like you do every other department, and that is with the anticipation of working together to serve our citizens the best way they can. Certainly law enforcement has challenges, and the best way to address those challenges is to find out what they are, and that's going to require good communication from the county governing body and the Sheriff's Department. So, you know, if I'm fortunate enough to win this election in November, then I have every intention of working with law enforcement, getting on the same page on all the issues as far as what their challenges are, what their revenue streams are, how they're spending their money, and then attack their issues.
Okay. Well, today this has been Randy Holman. He is the Democratic candidate for the position of county executive, the inaugural position, as we'll like to say. And Randy, I want to thank you very much for taking time out of your busy day. And I do want to say, yes, out of all the county office holders, this is the one individual I see regularly before business hours.
Thank you.
Thank you again for attending, Randy. And we thank you for watching this program on the Roundtable.